Things happen in cycles. Things happen in seasons. So if you're listening to a meditation that's telling you like, just be still and don't make any motion, but you're really antsy in the moment, it just doesn't align, right? So for me, I have a year-long seasonal program where we gently work through each season. So fall is releasing, right? And in that time, we're letting go of the things that are already dying, that aren't serving us, that we don't need in our lives. And that's a time to sit in those certain types of meditations where it's like, how can this negative thought pattern be composted into something beautiful, right? Like the releasing into the earth season. And then winter is integration, right? Sitting and restoring and listening to your intuition and truly choosing stillness, which is active, by the way, because you are choosing to be still. Right? People are like, I can't be lazy. I can't just sit around and do nothing. No, when your body is screaming for you to be still, making that choice is the wisest thing that you could possibly do for yourself, right? Spring is planting. What tiny steps, what tiny motions can I take to plant the seeds for the things that I want to be able to reap eventually, right? And then summer is just radiating, embodying all of what you want to be or who you've been working to become, and appreciating in full vitality the work you've done in the other 3 seasons leading up to it. So meditation is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most important things that somebody could bring into their life at any season.
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about the meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Hello, and welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kat, Kim, and Sue.
As you know, here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we believe in illuminating the folks who are stoking the fire in their souls, one podcast at a time. And we are so stoked to have the one and only Naomi Katrina Sunshine here with us today. Hello, Naomi. Her jam is the Radiance movement. Sharing Sunshine Safe Haven is her nonprofit. She has a ton of things new and exciting going on. Retreat in Costa Rica in October, mini summit, 2 speakers a week. No, not too shabby. Lots going on there, and Tea Time Tuesdays. So let's get into it. Let's jump in with Naomi Sunshine.
Hi, Naomi. It's great to have you on the podcast. I'm going to jump right in with the big question. We'll give you a turn to speak in a minute. What do you see as the biggest gap between where people are right now and the potential they have?
What I think the biggest problem people have is that they're trying to live a life with an identity that they are still associated to. So what I mean by that is people say, I just want to live in peace, but they're existing in chaos, or their nervous system is just completely overwrought in not feeling safe. And they're like, I'm going to be safe. You can't do that if your old identity is hanging on to your life. So being able to act as the person you're becoming, and also finding the truth of who you were and figuring out what was holding on there and being able to release it so that you can act in alignment to move forward into exactly who you want to become.
So kind of in a way, it's almost dress for the job you want, right?
Fake it till you make it.
Right.
I love that.
Right? So you can't exist in a world that you can't see, right? So you have to actually see your truth moving forward. But then if you're being pulled back into who you were, your old identity, the world that you're reaching for is always going to be too far out of reach because you'll be being pulled back the whole time.
Oh,
that is heavy duty. How much truth is there in that? Because, even that story, so often we are this story that we have in our minds. And without even understanding what our story is, we're walking it and living it so unconsciously. That's exciting to hear you address and really
it's
dive into that.
absolutely true. A long time ago, what seems like lifetimes ago, I didn't feel like I had a lot of worth. And I've done a lot of work. Intellectually, I knew, right, that I had worth. But my patterns, my stories, they told me that I didn't. And so a few years ago, if I had told my now self, would be walking into a city council meeting with the Economic Development Committee, asking them to release low and middle income funds for transitional housing for my nonprofit, I'd be like, you have the wrong lady. Right? But that's what I did today, right? Because when I found my worth, because when I found my worth, I was able to step forward into this new person that I've always known I could be. I just didn't know how to become her because the old me was hanging on for so long.
So was there like a specific moment in your life when like everything changed for you?
For me, it wasn't one specific moment. It was layers upon layers of trauma and leading to abusive relationships and addiction and all kinds of things that just kept layering on top of each other. In my story of lack of worth and so many other things, all just became this parfait of worthlessness that, that's how it felt, right? That I didn't feel like I had any reason to be anywhere or anybody wanted me there or anything like that. For years and years and years, for decades, really. I, at the age of 10, scratched the word help in my ceiling because I had nowhere else to put the pain and no one to talk to about how I felt. And so that led to an adulthood where I had a lot of pain that I wasn't able to express, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, one day, I literally saw my nephew, who's my son. I've had him since he was 9 months old. I saw the generational trauma that I had been holding, that I had been perpetuating, literally change his face from happiness to sadness in response to something I had said and done. And I realized I can't do that. I cannot take what I've experienced and brought into adulthood and continued to be heavy on top of me. I can't watch myself give that to the next generation. And so for me, breaking generational trauma, you do it for the kids, right? That's kind of what always changes things. So for me, it was seeing my son's face changed when he was happy, saw me crying, and then went to sad, and the visual representation of me handing him generational trauma was too much for my soul to bear. So I had to take some looks at what everything was happening in my life and evaluate in a holistic way what my life existed of. And it wasn't pretty in that evaluation, but it was a good starting point for me to figure out what I needed to do to move forward.
That's pretty amazing that you saw that. You know, I'm sure it was a brief moment in time. And you grabbed it. That's beautiful.
Yeah, good thing I was looking. Who knows where we'd be?
No, good thing you were looking, because we have this picture of what love should look like, right? Or what love looks like. And sometimes it's like messed up. It's a messed up picture, but that's all we know. So we don't know that it could be different, you know? So definitely great that you were looking.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's so true. I just have to ask about this parfait, because I love that visual, right? Love a visual and love a parfait. I mean, let's be honest. But but that parfait, you know, like, I guess I'm visualizing like all of this negative stuff that you really don't even know is maybe negative as it's building, right? Like when you're little, like you caught your son's sadness and you were present enough to feel that transference somehow. I mean, you had such awareness about you. So with those of us who have this parfait that's happened, and then maybe we put a nice slab of some really positive empowerment on top of it, and we think we're good, but then it doesn't stick because maybe that, like, all those underlayers kind of seep through and gets the granola soggy or something. Like, is that what happens? Do you have to dig out the whole parfait? Tell me a little bit about how that works. that transformation.
Well, absolutely, right? That you can put a cherry on top of a not so great pile of things, and the cherry might stay delicious, but the rest of it's never going to be tasty, right?
You
So
wanted to say a shit Sunday. I
I
know you did, right?
did, I did.
And I had to say it. It felt so good.
I know. I was gonna say a pile of shit, but I thought this is probably a G-rated podcast.
Nice
Yeah,
one.
so you can put a cherry on top of anything, and the cherry is gonna stay beautiful, and it's gonna be delicious. But the rest of it is, it's like one rotten apple doesn't turn good in the bunch, right? One rotten apple spoils the bunch, and that's what ends up happening when you have layers of self-doubt and worthlessness and insecurities and all the things, and then you're making bad choices because of these negative thought patterns, right? So you're just adding to that parfait, that negative life parfait, and you can take a big scoop and all you're going to get is all that negativity. There's no way to turn it all around at once. It's small steps, incremental spaces. It's taking a holistic look at your life, and then it's taking a moment and saying, what is one small step that I can take? What is one way that I can show up in a room as the person that I want to become? Right? It's sending one message. It's drinking one glass of water before you drink your coffee in the mornings, right? It's choosing to exercise for 10 minutes, because you're not going to become a fitness buff in 10 minutes. But if you're choosing a 10-minute increment of exercise regularly, all of a sudden you start noticing a physical change. It's the same in every area of your life. So if you're looking at any part of your life, they're all connected. If you are overweight, that's not just because you've eaten too much or you're not exercising, right? That is the emotional eating at night in the kitchen when you think nobody's watching, right? That's the lack of worth. That's the nervous system out of whack and not giving you a feeling of safety. So you're eating too much because you want to cover up so that you are able to survive the winter, right? I mean, there's not a saber-toothed tiger still after us, but our nervous system behaves as if there is, right? So it's examining all of the areas of your life and choosing where you can make small, even inconsistent, small changes that can become patterns in your life that you can be proud of. So you start walking into the room truly being the person that you've been wanting to become.
Well, thank you for answering the question I was going to ask before I even asked it. How'd you do that? Because you talk about this holistic approach, and I'm always wanting to know what does that look like in real life? And I think you just demonstrated that really with those beautiful examples that I think a lot of us can relate to. Do you have any other kind of any other real life way that works in that you share with your people?
So you mentioned this workshop. It's a wellness wheel collaborative that I've been doing. So for me, identity is the center of the wellness wheel. There's a million wellness wheels out there. You can Google it. There's images galore. I developed one that works specifically for me, where the identity is the center of it, right? Because who we believe that we are is what we allow in our lives, what we call into our lives, really. And so you looking at your identity, looking at how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself, and who you believe you are is the start to the whole thing. That's the center of the wheel. And every spoke of the wheel is a place to take a look. And how do I feel in this place? There's occupational, there's spiritual, there's nutrition, there's movement, right? There's environment. What are you allowing in the space around you? Who are you allowing in the space around you as well? That's a big one, because we are most like the 5 people we spend the most amount of time with, right? So look at every part of your life. And I have a whole process, and that's what this workshop has been about. It's a free workshop for people to jump in to each of the sections they don't feel they're doing the best at, so that they can get expert views on how to make those small shifts to become the person that they've always wanted to be.
And that's a workshop
Beautiful.
that you offer, like, just online?
Yeah, it's a Zoom workshop. So I've been doing every 2 weeks, I'm doing a workshop and having 2 presenters at it. And I just did nutrition with a woman who reads functional blood lab panels. So when you go to the doctor and they're like, you're within normal ranges are very big. Functional ranges are much smaller. So she reads those functional ranges and gives suggestions in terms of micronutrients that could be adjusted. And then the other presenter is when your doctor gives you a diagnosis of, right, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, whatever it looks like, inflammation. She looks at how can we add the rainbow to your plate? How can we make it super delicious to eat back to where you want to be?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's perfect. So
That
each
is
week
awesome.
you're doing, each week you, or every 2 weeks you're doing a piece of the wheel, or just
Yeah, so
help
I
people
want to
with-
give everybody the opportunity to take that time to do some small adjustments in each of the different sections. And it would be a bit overwhelming to do 10 workshops at once, right? Nobody wants to sit through 10 hours
No,
of learning. So I'm
no.
spreading them out every couple of weeks and giving people the opportunity to jump into the ones. The wellness wheel itself, there's a list of questions for each of the sections for you to kind of sit and evaluate where you are for each of them. And then you can jump into each of the workshops that you think would suit you best. So for me, years ago, when I first found the wellness wheel, I was looking at it like, oh man, I was at, from a 1 to 10, a 1 to 3 on so many of the sections. And I thought, how is this possible? I looked very functional from the outside. Things were going great, seemingly. On paper, things were great. And inside, I was empty. I didn't feel the kind of joy or passion or love or anything. I mean, life was good, but I didn't know how to experience the goodness of it. And I was evaluating the wellness wheel for myself and going, man, this is why. Because if I'm just rating 1 to 10 for each of these different, and this was a basic wellness wheel, just like spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, you know, and I was like, ooh, we're not doing great. So I've developed one that has a little more in-depth look at the holistic approach to your life. And I have now formed these questions that help give you a deeper look into each one of those things as well. It's not complicated. It just helps really put a more defining view on each of them. And then you look at it and say, well, I'm doing great in movement. I'm a 9. I exercise 6 days a week and I go for a hike with my dog on the 7th day. Like, I'm doing great on movement. But I'm so busy, I'm just eating off my kids' high chair, their leftover food, right? That's not great for the nutrition side, right? Or whatever it is. That then you say, that's the one, I'm going to go look at the replay. So these replays are available, they're free. This is just for everyone to have this as a resource. It's an evaluatory tool for yourself. And then it's a goal setting and a progress checking tool. So you can say, I'm at a 1 to 3 on these couple. Here's a couple of things I want to do to start adjusting myself in the correct direction. I'm going to come back in 8 weeks and see where I'm at. And then you ask the same questions and give yourself that same evaluation and see what's changed.
Sounds amazing. And so it's Tea with Tuesdays. Is that what it was? Is that what it's called?
Tea Time Tuesdays, where we spill the tea on how to get and stay happy.
I love that. Oh, so you're not drinking tea, you're spilling the tea. I like it. I thought we were drinking tea while we were. And so I'm assuming that it's creating some sort of community as well. And can you talk a little bit about the importance of community?
Well, community is everything. So like I said earlier, the people you spend the most amount of time with are the people that you are the most like. So if you're around people who are just kind of sad or depressed all the time, people who drink a lot or don't have goals or have a lot of negative self-talk or, just negativity in general, that's what your life's going to consist of. And I found that if you find a community that lifts you up, that holds the version of yourself that you're wanting to become until you walk into the room as that person, that's the best way to be supported into becoming the person you want to be. In my nonprofit, I'm working towards supporting women and children survivors of abuse and trauma, and we really encourage community in that. So we're a 3-phase project where we're giving them healing from the past, coaching, and spa treatments, and therapy, counseling, whatever, depending on what they're comfortable with. It's all a voluntary program. We're not forcing anyone to do anything. And there's an evaluation for that too. Are you ready for this program? Because there's healing from the past, and you have to be willing to kind of crack open to release and be able to then start filling in the cracks and building a foundation for the present, so that then after job training and financial literacy and other classes, we're building a sustainable and empowered future where we're offering them the ability to start their own LLC if they want to own their own business. If they're just working in our company, the money that they make, will save some of it and build a regenerative tiny home with them, so they have a home when they leave the program, and that way they never have to go back to where the trauma occurred. So that we're filling that gap of the hamster wheel of social services, crisis needing support. All of that crisis stuff exists, and we're binding together all of the things that pre-exist and giving them a safe space to experience all of that, where they're not in panic and survival mode, but really truly learning how to exist in a community of radical kindness and people who truly care, some of them for the first time in their lives. So it's the community that's changing everything for them.
Beautiful.
That's amazing.
Sort of in the community, I know you were talking a bit earlier about the radiance movement. Won't you just tell us a little about that too?
So the radiance movement is basically the general umbrella under which all of my different projects and offerings exist. It's a global movement that is reigniting the inner light of people around the world so they can become the beacon that they were always meant to be. And then the ripple effect is, once they start shining like the beacon that they're meant to be, the people in their lives see it and they start changing. It starts to ignite their inner light. And then over time, we are going to illuminate the whole world so that everyone is existing in this beautiful brilliance that we were all born to be.
Fantastic.
That's just a beautiful. Yeah, that's such a beautiful vision. I mean, and we're in we get lots of fires here in California, but it sounds like the best kind of wildfire that you're talking about. And that's how it can catch. Negative is contagious, positive is contagious just as much. So yeah, spread that radiance movement.
Yes. Well, and not only that positivity is contagious. However, there's a vibration level. This might be getting a little scientific or woo-woo, depending on who you ask.
No, that's what we're all about here.
Woo-woo.
Good. If you vibrate on a lower level, right? If you have a lower vibration, then that's going to spread, right? You know, if somebody's in a bad mood, it's so easy for a door slamming or a grumpy mood or whatever to spread to other people. And people are asking me, how are you smiling? How are you still happy in all of the nonsense that's happening on a macro level in the world right now? And I say, because I have to stay in a high vibration, because people in a higher vibration take 40 times more. They negate the negative vibration. So one person in a high vibration is taking away 40 people in a low vibration. So I'm doing my part to change the world by staying in a good mood.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. You know, I have to ask this though, because I'm a true believer of like the light wins over the dark, you know, in the long game anyway, always.
Yeah.
And but say someone's in a situation where they're in a family member or a partnership where someone is on a really low vibration, maybe for good reason, maybe they have chronic pain, or they're just, you know, in that slump that they just can't quite get out of. But the positivity of a person is, you know, that gets worn down over time. You know, and it's hard to always, if it's a one-on-one battle daily, that negativity can be so grueling. Do you have any kind of offering for a person who's in that kind of, because you do say, you know, you are the 5 people that you are around most. Luckily, I'm with these guys at least once a week usually. So I'm winning. But you know, what do you say to those people who maybe are in a relationship or in a family that you can't just leave?
Yeah, so I think building a life that you don't feel you need to escape from is something that I looked around. I kept thinking, I'm broken, my life is broken, everything's terrible back when things weren't great. And then I started to look around and realize I'm trying to escape from a life instead of build one that I want to live. And you can't always, if you have a partner who's in chronic pain and they're going to be upset, right? That's totally understandable. I'm not saying you should spiritually bypass and just like, I'm happy, right? Because eventually that will fade. There's no way to fake that level of high vibration or happiness. So what I truly believe is having some systems in place. So I've come up with an acronym. I trademarked an acronym called BRAT, which is breathe into your heart, regulate your nervous system, adjust your perspective, and then thoughtfully move forward. And in that, you breathe into your heart. Taking a deep breath is always helpful. And your heart really has all the answers, right? So breathe into your heart. That kind of stops everything, slows it down a little bit. Regulate your nervous system, because if you're in fight or flight, it doesn't matter. You cannot have intellectual thought. You cannot have a conversation that makes good sense. You're just in panic mode. And then adjust your perspective. There is always another way to look at something. So if you're feeling frustrated with a partner that has chronic pain, and rightfully so, right? It's totally understandable, and it's okay to have your feelings. But then, so if somebody is negatively speaking to you, one of the ways I adjust my perspective around that is, golly, how hard must it be to be in their head? If what's coming out of their mouth sounds like that, imagine how much worse it is in their head. Imagine how hard it is to live inside of their head in their lives if they're comfortable saying what they've said out loud. And for me, that just brings so much sympathy to someone like, oh, I just want to hug you, even though you're being mean to me, you know? So adjust your perspective and then thoughtfully move forward. What is a step that I could take in a direction that feels good, that feels like it's going to be positive or helpful in this situation? So Brad is a tool to use. Meditation is a good tool to use. Going for a walk when you're just feeling overwhelmed with a situation at home or in your family is a good tool to use. Honestly, sometimes none of that works and you just need to scream. So leave the room and scream into the ether and not at the person you're upset with, right? Like there's always a good way to handle a situation, and there's always a not as good way that you can handle a situation. So the thoughtfully move forward is, what's a good step to take right now? So Brat works
Beautiful. I love Brat.
in almost every situation, for
Oh
sure.
my gosh, that sounds like a great thing to teach the kids, and to just, that can go into practice right now. You know, and for someone who's listening who feels stuck, what might be a small shift, you know, that is certainly one of them, the Brat. But what would be a small shift they can make today?
Yeah. And you know what, speaking of kids, I realized, you know, sometimes you're doing this healing journey and you're doing this or that or whatever, and you're like, it doesn't feel like I've gone anywhere, because you're always there. You're always in your own space, right? And so even if you've done a lot of growing and healing, sometimes it doesn't feel like you've come very far. And you can look back and realize that you have. But for me, my kids are a great mirror on how far we've come as a family. 5 years ago, when my son's face changed and I saw that my actions affected him, that was a way that made me need to change in a positive direction. So another thing my kids have done to show me how much we've changed in a positive direction, two things. One, I sing a song when I'm feeling overwhelmed for the kids. I sing, I'm feeling kind of frustrated, feeling kind of mad. I'm feeling overstimulated. It feels really bad. Just to let them know where I stand in the moment. And my son, he's 6, he came up to me and he said, hey, Mom, maybe you want to go take a crocodile breath or maybe a lion's breath?
So
My
cute.
6-year-old boy. So anybody who's not familiar, a lion's breath is a deep breath in and then releasing all the emotion. I like a lion. I know. And it's silly and it's fun and it kind of releases so much tension that it really does help to change the current status. And then a crocodile breath is like you have a really long nose, like a crocodile, and you breathe. Really long and slow in and out of that long crocodile nose. So that's what those two breaths.
Wow. I have never heard the crocodile one. I really like
It's a
that.
good
That
one, right?
long.
And then the other one, I say to my kids all the time, hey, if that's the worst thing that happened to us today, it's a good day. I don't just say it to kids. I say it to people in business situations. I say it to people at the grocery store. Like, anybody who's like, I am so sorry. I almost always say, if that's the worst thing that happens to us today, it is a good day. And my then 10-year-old, something happened. I was feeling flustered and trying to make something happen. And I knocked a tray, the last tray of food as we were moving in and out of this building, the last tray of food. And I was just trying to get everything just, and I knocked the tray of food and I started crying. We all have those moments. Mm-hmm. And she came over and she put her hand on my back and she said, hey, Mom, if that's the worst thing that happens to us today, it's a good day. And I just burst out laughing. Like, yes, yes, it is. You're right.
You're like, not now, honey. No.
Yeah, right. How's it feel coming at you? But it obviously felt great. Plus, I love the singing. That singing that song. If you can be in a mood and get yourself to sing that song, then you're already feeling better, right? Like, how can you sing and keep your vibration low? I don't know if that happens.
It's true. Well, and also sometimes at the end of that song, I'll say, okay, now is when I'm going to make some silly, funky move that, makes me, so you have to move the energy in your body, right? If you're allowing your frustration to hold and you stay like this, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, everything's fine, right? Obviously it's not. So for me, I'll sing that song and then I'll go, okay, I'm going to make a funny move. If you guys want to do it with me, you're welcome to, but I need to move a little bit and I'll do something, just something completely off kilter that wouldn't normally happen. And it makes everybody giggle, including me. And that helps to kind of move that energy and change the way things are in the situation.
That's really awesome. So do you think there's anything missing in the personal development world right now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, first we talked about spiritual bypassing, right? I think that a lot of people are like, well, I'm supposed to be happy. I have to be happy. I'm going to be happy. Right. But I talked about this. If you've got layers of negative self-talk, if you've got a lifetime of somebody telling you somewhere deep in your subconscious that you're no good, right? You're never going to get anywhere. So I think really we come up with all of these, like, okay, here's a hack and here's a routine and here's you cannot structure your way into the truth. The truth is what's inside of you. So if you're not taking a deep look at where you stand, who you really are, how you're vibrating, how you're feeling, then you're never going to be able to hack your way into a beautiful life. So the first thing to do is to just stop. Take a deep breath. Sit with whatever pain you've been struggling with, right? Understand where it's coming from, whether it's a meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's listening to somebody on YouTube that teaches about things that make sense to you, that seem to help shift the way that you see things, whatever it is, but really taking a moment and examining what's going on. This busy world, we
Yes.
forget. We were born to be full of joy. We were born to have happiness in our hearts. So how can we exist in a world where we're just told to keep going and chin up and pull yourself up by the bootstraps and all of this? But that's never going to work. It's just covering the pain. So find a way that helps you move forward, but not in a covering your pain kind of a way, in an honest way. So I think that's it. People need to be more honest about where they truly are.
Right. That makes sense. Because if you don't start from, ground, or, as close to ground zero as possible, you're just building on top of that pile we were talking about earlier, right?
That's right. It's stinky and it gets slippery.
That's right. And I was also going to ask Naomi, what's your view on meditation, and how have you found that it's helped in life?
Yeah, so I think meditation is, simply put, it's a way to help you be in alignment in your life. So if you're living this, I do transcendental meditation. That's actually why I moved to this town in Iowa that I live in now, because there's a college here where they do transcendental meditation. And they have brain maps of people before they start school here and after they start school here. There's a coherence in your brain when you take a moment to be still. And everybody says, oh, I can't meditate because I can't sit still for 5 minutes. Okay, then sit still for 5 seconds. And tomorrow do it for 10 seconds. And the next day for 20, until you get to the 5 minutes. And 20 minutes is how long an adult does transcendental meditation. 20 minutes twice a day. And everybody says, I don't have time to meditate for 40 minutes a day. Okay. However, when your brain is in coherence like that, you actually are way more productive. You don't waste time on negative thoughts, negative feelings, whatever else. So you are actually giving yourself more time by taking that time. They say if you're busy, you should meditate for an hour a day. And if you're really busy, you should meditate for 2 hours a day.
Yeah, make time, right?
Yes.
Literally.
And I think also, like I was saying earlier, evaluating where you are in the moment. So transcendental meditation works anytime, anywhere. You can be in a busy airport, you can be by yourself in your bedroom, you can close your eyes and transcendental meditation. But there's also these guided visualizations that are also a type of meditation, and you can look up on YouTube. Thank you for mentioning. I have a YouTube channel that I do guided visualization meditations as well, but you have to see where you are in life. So if you look at the seasons of the earth, right? If you're lucky enough to live in a place where there are seasons, not everybody gets that, but we all know what they are, then it makes a lot of sense. Things happen in cycles. Things happen in seasons. So if you're listening to a meditation that's telling you, like, just be still and don't make any motion, but you're really antsy in the moment, it just doesn't align, right? So for me, I have a year-long seasonal program where we gently work through each season. So fall is releasing, right? And in that time, we're letting go of the things that are already dying, that aren't serving us, that we don't need in our lives. And that's a time to sit in those certain types of meditations where it's like, how can this negative thought pattern be composted into something beautiful, right? Like the releasing into the earth season. And then winter is integration, right? Sitting and restoring and listening to your intuition and truly choosing stillness which is active, by the way, because you are choosing to be still, right? People are like, I can't be lazy. I can't just sit around and do nothing. No, when your body is screaming for you to be still, making that choice is the wisest thing that you could possibly do for yourself, right? Spring is planting. What tiny steps, what tiny motions can I take to plant the seeds for the things that I want to be able to reap eventually, right? And then summer is just radiating, embodying all of what you want to be or who you've been working to become, and appreciating in full vitality the work you've done in the other 3 seasons leading up to it. So meditation is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most important things that somebody could bring into their life at any season.
Okay, beautiful.
I love it. I don't know about you guys, but I really like that fall one because it made me realize, I mean, even as I'm a fashion designer, stylist, but I always tell people edit your closet 4 times a year, you know, and the editing thing, but I never do that in my life. I think you just gave me permission to be like, I can take things out of my life. I don't know if I've done that. Definitely not annually, consciously, but what a great kind of permission thing to be able to do intentionally, right? Like that gives you a sense of empowerment and control of how you can simplify.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so we're all creating in any given moment, we're creating what we are, like I said earlier, what your identity is what you're allowing into your life. But that kind of happens on all levels in your world. And so you're creating what you're bringing into your experience. So if you have a really crowded closet and then you bring in this beautiful new sequin dress that you love, it's going to get swallowed up in that hot mess in there, right? It's the same idea in life, right? You're not going to see the beautiful things when you're covered up in other things that don't matter as much to you.
Beautiful. So true.
Yeah, that's definitely some contemplating moments there. So, Naomi, we here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we like to say that a rising tide lifts all boats. So if people are resonating with you, what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, so I would welcome anyone who resonates with me you can find me on social media, Naomi Katrina Sunshine. And the Radiance movement is just starting on Instagram. So there's not a big following in terms of social because we've been feet on the ground out here making the Radiance movement a real movement in the world. But Naomi Katrina Sunshine on Facebook. I would love anybody who wants to join Tea Time Tuesday. I pinned that comment on Facebook. It's a flyer that has a QR code you can scan. It's a call where we just jump in. It's a free call, no sales pitch, none of that. We're literally a community of beautiful humans supporting each other through the challenges in life and cheering each other on through the wins in life. And it's a beautiful space. I would welcome you there. The retreat in Costa Rica in October is going to be incredible. We're resetting our nervous systems. We're also giving people the opportunity to get raw footage for anything that they like to advertise for themselves in their life. If you're a speaker, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, you're like, I know how to reset my nervous system. Cool. But do you do it in a cloud forest in Costa Rica with a professional photographer? So it's kind of a space for anyone. There's somebody coming who's never been anywhere international, and she also doesn't know anything about resetting nervous systems or any of this kind of work. And she's so excited to be a part of all of this with us. And then there's somebody who's been 30 years a counselor who's coming, right? So there's a wide range of people who are coming, and all for our own reasons. And we're going to do a year of my seasonal focused program that I was talking about. We're all doing a year of it together at the end of the retreat. So one of the worst parts of a retreat, in my humble opinion, is you go and you make soul family during the week. You know, you're like, oh my God, we're sisters. We're going to know each other forever. And then 2 months later, you don't talk anymore, you know?
Yeah, right.
So this way, everybody's going to have a moment to bond through the program, through an entire year beyond that week of the retreat. That's going to be incredible.
Love
Yeah,
that.
there's a million ways, but honestly, whether you're using me as a guide or whether you just don't resonate with me, but really hear some of the things I'm saying and think someone else would be somebody better to guide you, just find a guide, right? Because ultimately, getting in a room where healing is the norm is such a beautiful space to be, because people can love you through no matter what season you're in. And it's really important to have that community, whoever it is. Find your tribe and show up however you are in the moment with the people who love and support you.
Amazing.
Oh man, drop the mic on that one. Naomi Katrina Sunshine. Wow. Well, until the next time, be radiant, be the sunshine, and for Bombastic's sake, be part of that girl's movement.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on. Shit crazy. So I just had to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibe, sorry I ain't got nothing for you. Why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride. Proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything but doing, showing love. And I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna come down, but I gotta
wake up.
Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to
wake up.
Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Most.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning.